Two kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
Was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the YouTube Livey. First and foremost, shout out to everybody who's watching this live, watching this replay. We appreciate you. Do us a favor, like, share, comment where you're from, please, so we know who's watching, all that great stuff. Of course, new episode dropped today, episode 93. The audio version came out tomorrow, or when you're watching this, Wednesday, drops the full video. And we talked about how to prepare your brand for a recession. Plus, we talked about some other things about how to make sure your ideas don't go to the graveyard, how to up your price. We had a special guest, well, semi-special guest with Inky Johnson. Shout out to him. So definitely go check that audio experience. It's a whole vibe. So if you already heard it, replay or watching this live, let us know your thoughts. Moose, how are we feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Today and yesterday have been like mega productive days. I've been talking about how much I have been feeling a little behind just with everything that's been happening. So I really hit the ground running the last couple of days trying to catch up. So feeling good. I think I'm maybe like another couple of days out from like, okay, being ahead of speed and where I like to be. But as far as everything else, things are great, man. I can't complain.
Okay, I ain't mad at that.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at that. I love Moose's explanations of everything, but you still can't understand can't understand nothing. I'm just saying.
It's like, you speak on as much as you think people are curious to know, but I don't know that they want to know more. If they want to know more, they can ask.
They probably do. They probably do. After 90-something episodes, they probably do.
Right.
I'm just saying, this is not new, people.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, I think you're subtle. I'm doing life, but you really don't know what my life is. But I'm doing it. Yeah. It was cool at episode 20. You know what I mean?
Hey, that expired a long time ago. Oh man, soon.
I'm just saying. Anyways, we got a lot to talk about. And I'll set it up because it was something that I wanted to give Moose his flowers in the only way that I know how to, which is our live show. You know what I mean? But really talking about, real life social media strategies, the walkthrough. Like, Moose has been, as y'all know, absent from social media and now has came back. And the way he's maneuvering has been very intentional and still kind of like I'm here, but like, hold on, don't think this is an everyday thing, but I'm here, right? And to see him go from, all right, I don't know exactly what, or I put stuff out, but it wasn't really for anything, to until I could figure out a true purpose, I'm not posting anything, to I think I kind of got it. Let's try this out. I wanted to talk about it because some people may be in that same vibe of, I really don't know what to do with social media, and I don't want to have that imposter syndrome. I don't want to look like a fraud or anything in that situation, but I know it's still important. How do I go about it, and how do I go about it with purpose? So I definitely wanted to talk about that today.
Yeah, no, thanks for setting that up. I mean, I realized that, and maybe I'll give a little bit more insight on 93 episodes later about kind of my experience, which is crazy because I feel like uh, maybe it's an introverted thing, but I feel like this is me expressing. I'm like, oh, I've been super expressing a lot more
This
than I
is
normally
me
would.
expressing,
I'm
me
like,
giving my
I'm like,
perspective
I'm
about
like, yo,
everybody else's life but
right. I'm
mine.
like, yo, I'm mad open. Like I talk about mad stuff. But I guess I gotta I gotta go. I gotta be more. So I'm trying,
Who is this
y'all. It's
killing me?
that's hilarious. I'm trying. Anyways,
Sorry.
no,
Sorry.
I guess because I also don't have that much interest in other people's lives that I'm like, yo, why would anyone want to know more about mine? But hey, I'm
You know,
happy to
our
share.
whole job is to talk about other people's lives from a
Yeah,
branding and
nah,
business standpoint.
that side. You know what I'm saying? I
But it's
kind of like
still
excuse
talking
it from the
about their
professional
lives.
realm. True. But I just feel like it's a professional side of it because we're talking about the brand and the business. And we're not like gossiping on their stuff. We've done a phenomenal job of being able to be in the space for this long and never really, tinker on the gossip side. So I take pride in that. But anyway,
Can I play devil's
so
advocate for 3 seconds and then I'll let you
no,
go?
no, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do
This
it.
is
Let me,
this
let
is
me say,
one. This
okay,
once.
fine. Go for it.
But we can't speak on a professional side about what you're doing. We
Well,
can
that's what
only
we're trying to
speak.
do now. No, that's what
No,
we're
no,
trying to
no.
do
I'm
now.
just saying before. I'm just saying before.
Well, I was trying to figure
92
that part
episodes
out.
before. 92
Yeah.
episodes before, not
No, I was, I
93.
was,
93
I
making
was,
a change.
I was trying to figure that out. That was the period of like, all right, let me see how I can do it in a way that makes sense. But no, truth be told, man, I think one of the blessings and the curse of my personality, and I've been joking around maybe the last couple of weeks saying my only toxic trait is that I have a lot of pride. Is that I love to do something until I see a lot of other people doing it, and then I'm like, yeah, no, I'm no longer interested. Now,
Right.
that's dangerous because what if your gift is a shared interest of other people, right? Like you're not going to be the only content creator on earth. Like there's 7, 8 billion people on the planet. It's only a matter of time before you come across other people who are into what you like. So I think in the beginning that kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I was finding different parts of my story and things that I was interested in that I was getting a response for, but I just didn't know what was a phase and what was a forever thing. A
Okay.
lot of the things that I tried on in the beginning were phases. And that's why you'll notice, even through some of the suggestions or strategies that I share, I'm always talking about, hey, get those reps out of the way, get those bad things or bad examples or whatever you got, just get those out of the way because that's the only way you're going to fall on something that you really feel good about. And I've passed through, I want to say, 3 or 4 different seasons that just weren't clicking for me. There was the season of wanting to be a speaker. There was the season of advocating at schools and being more of like a public/political figure. There was the season of trying to be the online content creator that I kind of see everyone try to do in the pandemic. And all 3 of those really didn't hit for me. So I said, you know what? The one thing I'm noticing about social media and just trying to figure it out actively without sitting back to put some strategies on the wall is that it's only making me worse internally. Like it was starting to rub off on me in terms of what I thought about myself, my own confidence, what I realized I wanted to do in the world and all those things. And I was like, no, this is getting to a point where it's actually being detrimental to my health. So I have to pull back. Like I have to just cold turkey, stop all efforts to try and perfect the message or this concept and figure it out. So when I stepped back, that's what allowed me to start really putting some things on the wall, which was like, all right, number one, my faith is important to me. I cannot come back and dibble dabble around this concept that is absolutely me. If I'm going to be on here, or if I'm going to share, if I'm going to speak, I have to share the truth about the fullness of who I am. Now, there is a lot of different things that I'm involved in. And that was the next thing that I kind of learned. I was like, oh, well, I don't have to necessarily speak to all of them at the same time. I can speak to a certain segment of it that makes the most sense, that can help people on their journey. And that's how I kind of started pitching it together. So I'll kind of stop right here just so that maybe we can build dialogue around it. But for sure, when I stepped back, it was because literally the process of creation and trying to create this image online was A, not really working the way I wanted it to, and B, messing me up like internally. So then that's kind of when this whole thing came about.
So break down the internal part. Like, how is it breaking? Because I don't think that gets talked about a lot. Like, because we clearly see the surface things, just from you. Like, you show up every week, right? You do this podcast, you do the live, but then, on another side of what we talk about when it comes to your own stuff, like there was an issue, and it just like, how do you, without giving too much, respectfully,
yeah,
like, how do you, I guess I'll ask it this way, like, what was a sign where it was like, hold on, there's a deeper situation? What was a sign?
Yeah, I always used to have, and actually this conversation I used to have it with you at first, and I used to ask you this question, like, I know you used to look at me crazy, like, what are you even saying? Why are you asking this? And I used to say, hey, what's the difference between a cult and a community? And I was like, and I didn't know where that question was coming from, but I cared to make sure that whatever I was a part of was true, was genuine. It was about what we promised, and it wasn't just, say, a marketing concept or a strategy that we put out there just to get people to enroll. And after that, whatever happens, happens. It's not my responsibility. So I wanted to double down and really master the process of dealing with large scales numbers of people. When you're kind of working on your own and just starting off, you don't have the issues of having a large team or people that you're responsible for that you have to lead in a major way. But once that started to happen, I was like, oh, these are different kinds of problems. Like, these are probably problems that a lot of people probably don't even want to have. And I kind of started to deal with them. So I was like, okay, let me really pull back and make sure that mentally I don't feel like I'm being a fraud. Like, literally, that's just the easiest way I could say it. I wanted to make sure that I was removing whatever doubt or contradictions out of my life so that I can be honest and confident in everything that I'm doing now. And I also knew that there were some issues there, because although I'm not someone who likes to sell, like, I'm not a salesy kind of person, I love informing people about something that I knew can help them or things that I know can be helpful. So anytime I start to lose sight of what I've dedicated so much time to build so that I can help you with that information and allow you to make your decision, I was like, wait, something's wrong. Like, I can't even educate you on the benefits of why you should be a part of some of the services that I'm providing. Something is up. And that's when I had to, like, all right, reel that all the way back in, cut out the noise. And it's hard to, like, come up with something when you're always trying to put out something. Like, how can you figure out, how do you know what's really you and what's coming out just because you know you got to put something out? And I was on that. Like, the one thing that I knew I kind of got consistent at maybe for 3 or 4 years was on stories. I was active on stories every single day for 3 or 4 years. And then I was like, yeah, no, shut it down. Everything, just complete stop, cold turkey. And it took, I took a hit. I'm not gonna lie, financially, of course, I'm sure I felt it from a business side, but it was just more important for who I am today and, like, the bounce back and what's to come. I was like, yeah, just you got to make a decision. If you're confused, if you're unsure about your messaging and who you are, if you feel like you're losing yourself in the process, the messaging of just grind till you get it, that's not always the solution. Sometimes you got to pull back and really start figuring some of these pieces out so that you can come back with a more of an intentional strategy, which is like this concept that you're highlighting now.
That's good. So, okay. So, all right. you identified, yo, this ain't it. I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Talk about the when you ran it back. Like, what made you feel comfortable with it again? Like, what did you identify as far as like, all right, I'm gonna do it this way, this time, and I'm cool with that. Like,
Yeah.
no back and forth, no like dip my toe in it, blah blah blah. Like,
Yeah.
this is it.
Yeah. So quiet as kept, like secretly, I'm an extremely coachable person. And I think people don't realize that because I'm in a teaching position. Like I get it. The way I operate, of course, or the responsibilities that I have, I'm responsible for teaching and training and developing and certain things. So you would think like, oh, this person got it all figured out. But because I played baseball my whole life, literally, I love getting feedback. Like just even the funny example of right before we got on, you look a little orange. Okay. Like I don't feel bad that you tell me I look a little orange. Let me fix that, make it a little bit like I love feedback because it lets me know that those who I'm operating with care enough about me to not make me look bad. That's how I've always kind of operated. Like if I'm down with you and we're working together or we're a part of the same mission, I want to make sure you don't look bad. Like we as a unit look good, right? It's the same concept with team sports. So in the back of my mind, I always had your voice in my ear and like I'm listening to your teachings. Like whatever you put out as it relates to social media, I'm listening. Like, yo, you got to be consistent. Whatever days you tell your people you're going to be there, make sure you're there. And consistent doesn't always have to mean every day. So what I started to do was I started to break down the difference between what I thought certain things were in my head versus what they actually are. And this is a good process for a lot of our listeners to do right now. Again, those of you watching a replay, this is where you really got to start to really figure things out for you. I bet if you're confused, you lack clarity, you're struggling with consistency, you just don't feel right, there's probably a disconnect between what something means in your mind versus what it actually is. So like consistency to you can mean one thing versus what it actually is in a black and white definition, that can work. I know for me, one of those things was don't take things too personal. I always looked at that as, oh, taking it personal means you're responding emotionally. That's not what it really means, though. Like if you talk to people about, hey, how do you define taking things too personal? It's actually the concept of making things all about you. And in that process, I was getting confused about, or I almost lost sight of what it is to have a social media presence or a personal brand online. Because the word personal is in there, it doesn't mean that your brand is all about you. It comes through you, it's from you, but it's not for you. And so while I was...
First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Yeah.
Run that back.
Yeah, that was the downloading process, man, of like, okay, yo, stop having two definitions of what something really is versus what you think it is for you or what you've made it to you. So the big one for me was personal brand. Like the word personal in the phrase personal brand, I misunderstood that part. I used to think personal brand means that it has to be all about me. And then when I started studying and listening a little bit more, I was like, oh, personal means that it comes from you. It's about you, but it's not for you. It's for a larger purpose, a greater audience, a greater mission. And these are all different things that you can be a part of. Not everyone needs to sell a service. Not everyone needs to have a product. You can push a cause. You can push a mission. You can push, like whatever feels right for you. So that was like the big part of it, of like me really starting to figure that part out, like something feeling right, of like, oh, this is starting to make a little bit more sense. And then two other things, and I'm gonna go a little bit deeper here just to really like bring to life how the light bulb moment happened for me. If you remember, I want to say maybe 2 months ago, there was a fake account that was created of me.
They wanted you in these streets. Yep.
Fake account created of me, and the amount of people that were reaching out to me, to Rebel C, just everything. And I was like, yo, there's over 25, 30 people who are responding to these DMs about, yo, so what are you doing with your finances and this whole, I don't know, crypto something, right? I was like, wow, like people really trust my voice. Like they actually trust me enough to engage in these conversations, even if it's something that has nothing to do with me. Like I've never talked about Bitcoin my whole life, but because someone created what looked like a believable profile of me, people who knew about me were willing to engage in conversation with them thinking it was me. That showed me, wow, people see you a lot differently than you see yourself. Like people trust you. Man, I feel like this is a whole long testimony right now. I was like, man, but for real. I was like, yo, people trust you more than you trust yourself because they're willing to respond, listen, read, even if it's a completely different profile. And I was like, nah, I can't. Like that showed me something. And I knew, I was like, yo, you can't let scammers do more with your name than you're doing with it. Like that really caught me. Like, seriously, you're going to sit on the sidelines and let people who don't mean no good do more with your name than you're doing with it? And I was like, okay. Like now I'm actually getting my inspiration back. Now I'm like these little one-liners and ideas that used to come to me a dime a dozen, which had stopped. Like when I told you about like that weird space, I had just lost all creativity. I hit like a dark wall, like nothing. I would just be on there like, yo, I have no idea what final words are going to be. I have no idea what I should even say. Like it was just crazy. So then I started getting that creativity back. And then lastly, I was preparing a training for our extreme execution community. And I was really like, I went in preparing. It must have took me like 6 to 8 hours preparing that one training. And when I was going back into the fundamentals of like why we were doing this particular thing or why we might do it differently from time to time, although it produced the same outcome, I came up with this quote and I like joked with it. I was like, yo, this famous philosopher said this line. And then really I was quoting myself. I know it's cheesy, but like I do stuff like that I think is funny. So I was like yeah. I was like, yo, there is no right or wrong way to do anything, only best practices. Mm-hmm. And those best practices are things that you get to figure out how they apply and work out for you. So I was like, okay, that's when like, that was like the icing on the cake. That was like, okay, there are some recommended things that you should be doing when it comes to having a brand presence or posting online or sharing on social media. But there isn't something that is going to be right for everybody, and there isn't going to be something that's wrong for everybody. You have to take some of the best practices, some of the fundamentals, and you have to make them work for you. So that's when I started getting to the solution. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not a creative person. I also don't enjoy creating digitally. Like I can create in the concept of training material, like more structured stuff. But the actual creative expression, I was like, no, that's not me. I don't enjoy it. I can't possibly be consistent if I have to rely on something I'm not good at. I was like, there's no way. It's just not going to happen. So I thought about it and I started looking at some other people who I really enjoyed what they were doing in the world from a business standpoint. And I started to study what their social media presence was. So you've heard me mention Matt Carter multiple times. Why? Because he's someone who I look at as he is by definition a behind the scenes person, but he is extremely well paid. He's incredibly intelligent and he's contributing to major impact in the world. So this idea of, yo, if you're behind the scenes, you're not valuable or, you know, you're not really worthy of this presence or whatnot was also like this fake idea that I had in my mind. Because I'm like, yo, here goes Math Carter. The guy's not necessarily creating content every day, but what he shares is valuable and it's helpful for people. It's definitely inspirational with what they're creating. So I got my inspiration from people like them, and I started pitching my strategy together. I said, okay, bet when I come back, I'm going to follow the guidelines of preparing good quality content that's relatable and shareable, but I'm going to let people know my intentions ahead of time so that they don't expect it from me every single day. I'm going to train those who follow me to know that when I share something, you best believe it's going to be extremely well thought out. It's going to be, it's coming from a real place, something that I've experienced. It's not just this concept that I think is cool or cute. Like if you were to ask me, I would tell you exactly why this is practical and how I came up with it. So I just wanted those values to be a part of my brand, you know, like my personal own individual brand. Like we, of course, have something collectively and everything that we're a part of, but like for just what people see on my page, I wanted to create my own rules and my own structure. And 26 minutes into this thing, man, I'll just say this for everyone who's tapped in, like, yo, you can create your own rules on social media. There is no social media police that's going to come and say, knock, knock, we're taking you to jail for not doing it this way. There is no social media law. But again, I don't know what it was in my brain, and maybe I'm the only crazy one, but I came up with all these like false narratives about what it has to be and what it could never be. And that's why it never worked for me. But now I feel no pressure. Like I feel good. I'm excited to share. I'm thinking about how I can, you know, put stuff out more consistently and more actively. And I'm open to ideas. But it works for me. You know, it works for my lifestyle. It works for my business. It works for what I'm a part of. So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, so walk us through the first post, like meaning the day, like you're like, okay, I'm gonna post on this day, or this is the day, and this is what I'm gonna post. Did you have maybe the next couple of posts in mind, or did you just be like, okay, I'm just gonna get over this hump of I need to post something to reintroduce myself?
Yeah.
So I got this at least fully taken care of, and then we will go about it based off reactions or how I feel about what happened.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say if you're someone who's been offline for a while, or you used to post and now you're not actively posting, or you're trying to rebrand and come back with just a completely new concept, you should start gearing up the first 3 to 5 posts before you make your first post. And I didn't have them perfectly planned out. Like, this is going to be the post. This is going to be the caption. I'm going to post it on this day, on that time. Because again, those were the things that I was trying to do before that just didn't work out for me. Maybe for somebody else, they will. And I'm going to keep emphasizing this message because I want people to walk away with that. There is no right or wrong way to do anything, only best practices. And usually those best practices are what work best for you, not for the general public. So before, that was the type of stuff that I'm on. I tried batch creation. I tried doing it every day. I tried so many things, and I was like, yo, it's just not fitting for me. So as I was gaining that inspiration and gaining those breakthroughs that I was telling you about, you know, the fake account, the different definitions, the no right or wrong way to do anything, I just started storing a lot of my ideas in a notepad. And when I felt like I had enough runway to put something out and do it, I said, okay, let me sit down and write the caption of my first post, because I want to utilize strategies that I know Instagram is using to help accelerate and kind of get the message to reach as many people as possible. So for one of the things I noticed was that most people who posted 2 pictures, their photos or their post came up on people's feed twice. So if you only posted one time, like if you posted only one picture, then if people see it or they just scroll quickly by it, that's it, it's done. But if you post 2 photos or more, if they missed the first one for whatever reason, they just weren't in the right frame of mind, they can see the second one and be like, oh shoot, yo, you posted. Oh, let me go see the first, and then get the whole thing. So that was a part of the strategy. I was like, all right, it's going to be 2 pictures. That's for sure. I'm going to break the ice because there were multiple times throughout that 2-year span where people would post or comment on my last post and be like, yo, when are you coming back? Hey, we're waiting for you. Like, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was things along those lines. So people knew that I had stepped away from social for quite a bit. But because I was showing face on the podcast and on the live, I don't think they, were too concerned. It's like, okay, he's in good health, he's alive, but he's just not doing this part right here. So I prepared that. And then I sat down to really write the caption to make sure that it's going to do 2 things or a few things. The first thing is I'm going to reintroduce myself based on these like new revelations and concepts, and just be extremely real about what people can expect moving forward. I had to embrace the concept of, yo, I'm a deep thinker. That's not me trying to fake being smart. That's not me trying to pretend to be something I'm not. That's just the reality of my personality. If you ever sat down and talked with me about like some thought-provoking stuff, you probably walked away with some jewels from that conversation. If you ever sat down and talked with me about, I don't know, going clubbing in Vegas, I don't know if I can help you with that. Nothing against anybody who goes clubbing in Vegas, but that's just not what I'm into. Like, I really enjoy thought-provoking conversation, and that's where a lot of my ideas come from. So I used to try to run away from that because I used to feel like, yo, I look like a nerdy wannabe, this and that. And then part of that post was like, nah, come clean with that. I think like one of the things I said in that caption was like, yo, literally, and this is no exaggeration, I've been serving relationship advice since like the 5th grade. Like I remember in elementary school, like helping, my friends kind of get over their little kitty cutie crush problems that they've been having. And they used to be like, yo, this makes so much sense. Like I was doing this for so long. So that was just like, yo, just come to grips with it. Like who you are is who you are. And at the end of the day, the people who appreciate that, they're going to rock with you. And those who don't, at the end of the day, what's going to happen? They're going to unfollow. They're going to skip your post. They're going to send it to somebody else and laugh and say, yo, look at this goofball. Who cares? Like, it is what it is. That's got to come with the territory. You can't reach thousands or millions if you're worried about what, 10 people are going to say. So I kind of dished all of that aside, put it in the caption, and was just like, boom, yo, I'm here. And I got a ton of love in the captions, text messages. The posts have actually been doing pretty good.
So what if you didn't get it? All the love? Like, would it change how you maneuver now or your thought process of why you came back? Is it like just kind of an added bonus? Because some people are going to watch this and be like, all right, that happened to you. That's great. Right. You got a lot of love. Woohoo. I ain't get anything. Like, I got a bot that gave me praise hands and follow promo at NYC. Like, I didn't get nothing. So was that kind of like, okay, this works, or is it more like, yay, thank you?
Yeah, it really just was the icing on the cake, because in the days leading up to it, I had went to an event in Atlanta, and I won't give too much context, but it was like, the super VIP room with the super high-end experience. And, I just contributed to a part of it. And I remember talking to Carl, and we always used to like reflect after events and be like, yo, I learned this the takeaway, this and that. And then I spoke with him and he was like, so what'd you learn? I said, you know what's crazy? I'm so happy I walked out exactly as I walked in. And he was like, what does that mean? Like, what, you didn't learn anything? I was like, no, I just walked in and I walked out, didn't feel any less confident about myself, didn't feel like I was missing out on anything in life, didn't feel like, and it had nothing to do, like, it's not like I had the most money in that room or I had the best cars or the best house in that room. Actually, far from it. But that was like the proof to me.
Nice view. He has an amazing view, as you can see right now.
That's
that
the
many
green
people
screen.
don't. Yes, that many people
That's the
don't.
green
So I don't know
screen.
why he's not trying to flex, but that's okay. I'm a flex for you.
I like how you said that while I'm on screen. It actually sounded like a voice from heaven, just like rung down right there. Now, but in all seriousness, it that was just my proof. Like, yo, I had done so much work on myself that I can now navigate in and out of these rooms and not feel any less than. And that was an issue that I was having before. You know, like I could see a post and based on what happened, I would react a certain way or anything like, or go into a room based on the event, based on the response, based on what people said, I would feel a certain way. And now I was like, yo, you have done enough work that none of this is phasing you. You benefit from what you can benefit from, and you brush off what you don't need, and you keep pressing forward. So like, yeah, the numbers and all that stuff was icing on the cake. But honestly, I would even challenge and say that the reason why the numbers came or the love came was because people appreciated the fact, like, finally, like, we've been knowing this about you, dummy. Like, we've been knowing you deep. I don't know why you tried running from it. Like, I swear, like, I bet if every single person watching this, either live or on the replay, I kid you not, I kid you not, if you were to just address the one thing that you think you're like, that you've been hiding for so long, right? The one thing that you've been hiding for so long, if you were to just address it openly, I bet you everyone and their mamas is going to be like, we knew that. It's like, oh, really? You actually thought you were hiding that? Like, we all knew that. What's the big deal? Okay, let's move on. And you're going to be like, really? Like, all this time I was investing all this energy trying to cover up and hide and make sure people don't see this or don't see that. But all along, you guys knew? It's going to make you feel like, yo, this is nothing. Like, everyone has their stuff. So yeah, I think I would say that the reason why the post even got the love that it got was it just checked the boxes that most people knew, but I was trying to hide. And it was like, okay, bet you finally came clear. So in that reintroduction post, share something that is, you've been hiding for a minute and just come clean. So they could be like, okay, finally, we understand you're gonna be truthful with us. Good. What else you got to say?
I like that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we were aware of what happened with social media and you dibbling and dabbling stuff. You didn't like it. Mm-hmm. You rolled out of the game for a little bit to kind of collect yourself and try to identify what is the real reason I'm here.
Yeah.
You figured out. You came back. You planned a few posts, right? But now, do you have a sense of, like, the big picture of your platform? Like, from, okay, you got over it. Boom, first post, first couple posts. Great. People still responding. Yay, people love me. Yay. Mm-hmm. Now what? What is the right. Now what?
Yeah. The now what is expecting to not be a celebrity, knowing that I have no interest in being famous, and no interest in being an influencer, and knowing that I'm going to be a phenomenal, like, biz dev person, like that person who's helping people really make sense of their business and their operations and help them to scale. And by no means does that person need to be, the face cover of everything. Like, I'm perfectly fine playing that role, and I have, like, no issues about it. So that's kind of what, led to this conversation is, okay, well, how do we want to do that at scale? Right now, what makes the most sense to me is sharing lessons from the field, right? So that's the next phase that I'm getting into. I want to get over my kind of perfection, like my need for perfection, by being able to take a crappy picture because it captures the moment and then really give the valuable lessons and recapping what actually happened through, through some form of media, whether that be in the caption or, based on, of course, the post or the platform, I would do what's necessary. But in my mind now is, what better way to show people that you are real, that you're about your business, that you're credible, that you're not a fraud, that all of these things that were, these false narratives running in my head, than by showing people that you're doing the work. Because the crazy thing, while all those ideas were running in the back of my head, I was also super busy doing the work. So to make sure that those ideas never come back, I want to serve as proof by doing that, capturing simple moments and being able to give practical teachings in that or from that, so people can start to see, oh, yo, this dude is really doing it, and in the way that feels right to me, like super, super practical, super honest, not trying to be flashy with it, and let it serve the people. Because I've studied other people like who have had a great deal of success, and you would think that they have to have the flashy elements and all these other things, and they just came up sharing good, practical information that served the people, and they were satisfied with it. And I was like, yo, that's more my swag. Like that's what I'm comfortable doing. So what's next for me is that, and then also what's like next is I have this really, really, really talented, cool individual. Her name is Nicky and stuff. So I'm gonna like listen to some of the stuff that she tells me to do. I'm gonna just do some of that too. I just make sure I'm gonna do that as well.
Mind you, people, I haven't told him a single thing in years. I think I haven't told him a single thing in years when it comes to that.
No,
this is a fact.
It's been a minute.
This is a fact.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, no. Once I really saw what was happening, I was like, wait till asked.
I want to actually ask you this. Can you talk about what I did you feel caught your attention, and why you think it was valuable to just speak about reintroducing the concept of like encouraging people to reintroduce themselves and just do something their way instead of nothing? Because I feel while inconsistency is not something you want to do, sometimes doing something is better than nothing, especially if you're doing the work and you're working on your process and you're improving yourself. Doing the work can mean a lot of different things. I'm not just saying it has to be in business. It can be doing the work like you're working on yourself, you're improving, you're living up to it, you're trying. So like, what can you just expand on that? Because I was actually surprised when you were like, oh, let's talk about that and use these examples. I was like, oh, shoot. Wow, thanks. Okay.
So I think it is really just finding your lane and not really feeling the pressure of what the best practices are is what really kind of caught me. Because it's like, all right, you see what's happening, you see what's been created on several sides, right? Several brands and things like that. And you were like, yeah, that's cool. I'm not doing it. And I'm going to show you that I'm not going to do it by not doing it for a while until I feel like coming back. And I'm not going to tell you when I come back. You're just going to feel and know when I come back, right? And so when you did come back, it was like, wait, hold on. He didn't even tell me. Why didn't you even tell me? But that's a whole nother topic because Moose just doesn't like announcing anything. So he did his thing, and then like for me, I could clearly see the shift. I could clearly see that it was more on, I'm doing it with a purpose. And though maybe I don't necessarily have the full-blown picture, I have this reintroduction down pack. And what you're not going to do is put me in other people's categories. I'm going to clearly state why I'm here, what I believe, and what is to come with my content, and what is acceptable and what's not acceptable, And so that's what kind of caught my eye. And then, of course, we have side conversations, and you're like nah, this is not happening until I do this. And if I'm a part of this, this can't go down. Like, there has to be some kind of different changes. And that's, not a lot of people have that to where, they accept whatever or they'll do whatever. It's like, okay, cool. It's just content, but you're very clear with, yeah, no, if I'm doing it, it's being this way. And that's it. Or I'm out again.
Yeah.
I feel like if it goes wrong, you're gone again. And then it's like, all right, we had him, people. We had him. So,
Yeah. No, I just think, we as people trying to succeed, look, at the end of the day, man, I felt like at one point I was fighting against social media. I was like, man, you don't need social media. And I was like, bro, you sound like a victim. Like, why complain? Like, don't complain about the reality of the situation just because you couldn't find out how to make it work for you. Yeah. And I literally had to speak with me like that. Like, I'm like, bro, stop. Like, that's not going to fix anything. I said, if you want to be a part of the solution, identify your values and stop compromising from them. Because like the example that you're speaking to is, if my face is next to an image that say goes against my beliefs, then in my mind, although, it's just a simple image, I'm like, no, that means something. How can I say I stand on X, but I let everything but X go through? It doesn't make sense. Like, you can't keep doing that. And again, I felt that when you talk about leading a community or teaching people or helping people embrace certain parts of themselves, how can people get behind your message or believe in what you're teaching if you yourself are not using your principles? I was like, no, it can't work that way. So I as I started to really come clean, and I don't know why, but for me, I was like, yo, I almost felt like I needed permission from somebody, when in reality, I don't need permission from nobody. Like I said, there's no social media police. Like, Instagram don't got a police force. Instagram don't have a constitution, like an Instagram constitution of what your laws and they don't have that. Yeah, they got some guidelines. Like, okay, if you wilding out, like, okay, chill. We got some guidelines, things that you going to do and can't do. But for people like us who are trying to make impact in the world and make a living from doing what we're gifted to do, that they're not trying to stop you from doing that. So why would you create all these barriers in your own head of what can and can't fly? Like, you're literally your worst enemy. And like I said, I'm not talking about nobody but myself in this process. That was me. So yeah, it took a couple years to figure it out. But now that I'm clear, I just, again, like, yo, I don't know if you've ever been going through like a rough season and like you finally get over it and you got like you just literally feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders and you're like, wow, I'm still here. And it's like, yo, that's it. So it's just operating from that space.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
If you could do it all over again, what would be your 3 steps of being on social media? If you could do it all over again.
From like the very beginning, or like from
the very beginning, like knowing what you know now, right? What would be your 3 steps? We know your 3 steps of reintroducing yourself based off the trials and tribulations, but now, like, rewind, but same mind. Yeah. How would you go about it?
Yeah, number 1, I wouldn't act on inspiration alone, because when I first started, I was simply inspired and I had to say, like, I had to look for anything to say. I didn't take time to study and understand the ins and outs and understand the runway and what comes next and how does one thing translate to another and how to accomplish that. Again, will your plan be perfectly laid out? No. Is your plan going to work out according to how you wrote it down exactly? Probably not. But should you still have a plan and take the time to create it? Yes. And that was the first mistake I made. I acted off of inspiration alone, and I didn't have a true plan or a strategy for what my roadmap is going to be. So a lot of what that inspiration was really me mimicking what I saw as success, but it wasn't me. So that's the first part. It's like, I would start with planning and strategy and thinking long term so that I can really understand the ins and outs of an industry. The second thing is I would lean into who I am wholeheartedly. So the one thing that I've always kept off the table for an odd reason, which I don't understand why, is the fact that I speak Arabic fluently. That was the one thing that growing up, my family, when we came from Egypt, was to like, you gotta speak the language at home. I don't care that you're trying to learn English in school. When you come home, you can only speak Arabic. Don't speak English. You can only speak Arabic. So I speak Arabic fluently, even as an adult now. So from that, a part of my content strategy would include whatever I'm doing in both English and Arabic, whether it be through captions, translations, whatever it be, because at the end of the day, your people are going to rock with you. Maybe not right away, but at some point, when they see the results and the fruits of your labor really coming together, they're going to start rock with you. So I would do that from day one, because I think that would have given me more of an international presence and people of my bedrock community, like truly there with me. And the third thing is kind of what I'm speaking about now, removing these rules, these made up rules that I have created for myself, but they're not a reality. So I would almost kind of face the mirror in a sense and just question like my thoughts, my beliefs, and my behaviors, or where they come from. Like, this is not something that is truly out there or exists in the world. Why do you think this way? So I would look to remove as many of those contradictions as possible, and then get in that flow and just let it go. Like not having to be super perfect with everything, or trying to manipulate and force certain things. Just let it go, let it flow, and listen to what people want and make my move from there.
That was good. I got nothing. I got nothing else.
Yeah.
I got nothing else.
You're
doing a lot of talking. This is great.
Hey! A whole lot.
Hey, but what I will say, and I really hope y'all were taking notes and sharing this and things like that. Like, it's something that we have to look at on a regular basis, which is our strategy, right? That's what Moose did. He didn't like it. He stopped it, until he figured it out. Sometimes you do need to take a seat. And instead of what you may think looks like a total mess, though others may be super appreciative that you're there and, oh my God, you're present, like internally, you're always going to think, I suck, or I'm doing this wrong. And that's going to take a toll of your creativity, of your output when you are showing up. So sometimes it's okay to take a seat and be like, let me gather myself. What is the goal? Like, why am I on this platform? Why am I creating this brand? Boom. Okay. What are going to be my, couple of posts that people will truly understand who I am and why they're following me, right? And then the next thing would be, how do I stay present, true to what the foundation is based off what I posted in those first couple of posts? Like, that's your first couple of posts or reintroduction posts should be the foundation of who you are and what your brand is. And it pretty much gives you a guideline of what to post from now on, because these are the reasons why people follow you. So think of it in a sense of like, these are your content buckets. The 3, 4, 5 things that I posted to let people know, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I believe, this is what you can expect, here's my expertise, right? These are all now different content buckets that people are going to expect from you. These are things that people look forward. And so you don't necessarily have to continue to guess what am I going to post because you already laid out the foundation. So I just wanted to truly do kind of like a real life example instead of just doing the, okay, step 1, this is what we do. Step 2, blah, blah, blah. Like Moose literally just did this, literally. Like, literally. I stayed quiet. Like I got in trouble one time. I remember on one of the lives, I said one thing about his social media and I never said anything ever again. I was like, I'm going to just sit here and wait. I'm just never going to say anything until summoned. Until summoned.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, nah, it's all a part of the inner work, man. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but at the end of the day, I think everyone who is having some level of difficulty in facing that, or you might be blaming others, lashing out, all of that comes from, there are parts of you that you haven't dealt with, and the only thing that you find reasonable to do is to point the finger, when in reality you should be bringing back a thumb right at yourself and saying, this is why you're here. This is why you're messing up. This is why you're struggling. This is why you're having these thoughts. This is why you're not making the kind of money you want to make. This is why you're not where you want to be. It's because of that person's fault. And the minute you start clearing those things up, I can't explain it to you because I know it. Some people are thinking it's like, nah, it can't be that easy, or it's just like magic. It wasn't that easy. It took me 2 whole years, 2 whole years of not saying anything, pretty much risking, people just simply no longer caring, right? Everyone could have just went away. People would have been like, yo, forget it. We out of here. I risked all of that because I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose myself in the process, that I was doing it in a way that felt right to me and people appreciated it. So it's not, I'm not making it seem like it's easy, but I'm just telling you, this is necessary work that you got to do, because I don't want you to think that digital world is a real world and your offline world is just an imagination. It doesn't exist. No. Your real world comes first, and you're relaying what your real world is in the digital era or in the digital world, so that people can understand, connect, give you opportunities, all of those things that you're looking for. But it don't work the other way around. So, just everyone's going to have their own lessons, and that's cool. I felt like I was a guest on our own podcast. It's like, Nicky and Moose featuring Moose. But nah, it's cool.
Exactly. That's what it was. Anyways, all right, people, look, do us a favor. If you enjoyed this, share this out, of course. All right, share this out. Take a screenshot. Share it on your stories. Yo, fire live. It was super dope. Or take a screenshot of the podcast. Yo, follow Nicky and Moose. All right. Please do that. And then, like I said earlier, the episode drops tomorrow, the full episode as far as the video. So go watch that, right? 8 p.m. Eastern. Go watch it. And that's it. That's it. We got some exciting things coming in the future. So just stick around with us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just stick around.
Hey,
with
we're
us.
edging closer to 100 episode. That's gonna be big. You know what I'm saying? That's a
stick around with
100 episode.
I made a call, and literally my response was like, "Duh, like, what is wrong with you? Like, just tell me when. Why are you like? I'm realizing this. Like, I don't like asking a lot of people, and when I do, it's like, what's wrong with you? Of course.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I think only one person is like not giving me problems, but just like it's such gaps of communication. It's just It's like, when? 7 days later. What time you thinking? Well, I was thinking a time last week.
Right.
This week is a whole different time. Anyways, my bad. Yeah. But anyways, all right, people, we are out. We love you. We appreciate you. Check the after show tomorrow, of course. That drops too. So the full episode, after show. Shout out